Hey guys, welcome back to another Q&A with Chef A. I'm Chef Andrea, and it is so nice to have you here today. This month's podcast, we are going to be talking about our home ovens. We'll be talking a little bit about heat and energy, how that works. We'll be talking about troubleshooting some things in our own home oven to get a little bit better results with our home cooking. We'll be talking about the science of convection, and trust me, it's easy. That's a short lesson. And then I'll also be talking about air fryers. In this particular episode, I just want to talk about a little bit of a refresher of the science behind heat and how that functions. Give us a little reminder what's happening in that box we call our oven. So let's talk about some basics here. And these are based on questions I get from students at the cooking studio all the time. People always want to know, first and foremost, Chef, tell us about your own home oven. Okay, you're not going to be thrilled. My own home oven is as old as my house. It is 2022. And my husband Michael and I moved into that house in 2003. 2002, 2003. We've been there 20 years. The oven came with the house. It is electric. It has an electric coil in the bottom of the box, and it has 4 electric coils on top. And like all really good old school electric coil topped ovens, the front right burner only scorches things. That's the only thing it does. It doesn't matter what you set it on, it goes to nuclear hot. So people have asked me why I haven't changed it out, and there's a combination of reasons for that. One is, do you know that box is incredibly efficient? It's a really efficient use of heat and energy, and it does a fantastic job for me, so why would I change it? Two, for so many years, I was writing and testing recipes for my students here at A Chef's Cooking Studio, and my focus has always been on making sure that whatever I share with you, that if I can pull it off, you can pull it off at home also. While we do classes in a kitchen that has a 10-burner gas range, isn't that nifty? For those who've been taking classes with us throughout the years, you know that mostly what we have you guys cook on are portable butane burners, more so than the gas range. And I test all my recipes on that wonky electric box at my house. My feeling has been, rather than put in a 5-star, $30,000 range at my house to test my recipes, I'm testing my recipes in conceivably the oldest oven in St. Johns County. And I assure you, if I can pull off a beautiful golden roasted chicken in that wonky box, you and your beautiful brand new oven in your gorgeous new house in this county and anywhere else can certainly pull off a great roasted chicken too. Okay, so heat in a box, that's what an oven is, right? So let's talk about the science of this for a minute. You guys know that I love to share, let's see, fake science? No, I think that's a little harsh. Interpretive science. How about that? So here, I am not a science teacher, nor am I a science student. I am a cook, but science is a big part of cooking, isn't it? And so when I'm trying to really get into explaining theories to students, the first thing that I'll do is get out the science of and make sure that I understand what the science is behind something, and then can I interpret it in a way that I can share it in a way that makes easy sense for everybody else too. We don't all have to get back into 5th grade science, but that said, I found this book at Barnes & Noble a couple years ago, and it's a hoot. I love this little book. I'll show it to you. Everything you need to ace science in one big fat notebook. Notes borrowed from the smartest kid in the class, double checked by an award-winning teacher, and this is a middle school study guide. Okay, I'm not suggesting that you run out and buy this book, although feel free. But here's what I like about this little compilation and why I got so jazzed when I found it. So I'm going to do a podcast on heat, basically, right? If we're talking ovens, we're talking heat. So I can go into the index of this guy and find the word heat, and there's an explanation on page 52 and on 139. And 52 is sort of just a definition. 139 was pay dirt, exactly what I was looking for. Heat. So here's what these pages look like. They're cute, aren't they? Again, these are meant for middle schoolers, but okay. Heat is technically the transfer of thermal energy from a warmer substance to a cooler one. Your oven is preheated at 350. It's warm. Your chicken just came out of the refrigerator. it's cool. We're going to transfer 350 degree heat to that cool chicken, right? I think we got that. So the transfer of thermal energy from a warmer substance to a cooler one. Thermal energy always moves from high energy to low energy. In other words, from warmer to cooler. Now, thermal energy continues to transfer between substances until both are at the same temperature. Now, that's how you can burn a chicken. If I leave a chicken in this box for long enough, eventually that thermal energy will convert that cool energy to the same temperature as the thermal, the heated energy, and everything will be 350 degrees. And a 350 degree chicken will be black. It will be burnt to a crisp. So, but here's what's interesting to me. Thermal energy always moves from high to low energy. And what's really important to me there is the terminology always moves. One thing we talk about here when we talk about energy, and this comes up when we do a Instant Pot workshop as well. We talk about energy. Energy is motion. Energy is always in motion. Hence the term, boy, he's energetic. Always moving, right? Energy is motion. Heat is energy. It is always in motion. So, the other thing that we know about heat is that heat rises. It always moves upwards, right? That's just the path that it takes. But heat is also very attracted to cool. So it will move upwards, and it will also find cool spots to drift its way into. It is energy. It's always in motion. It's attracted to cool because it is thermal and it wants to get everything the same temperature that it is, and it will also naturally drift upward. Those are important things to consider because here is one thing we got to think about with our home oven. I'm going to draw a picture. Oh boy, here we go. What are we doing time-wise here? We're pretty good. I'm going to keep this one pretty short. So here is a box. That's not very interesting. Here is an oven. An oven is a 3D box. Ah, better. Okay. What we want to have happen in this 3D box is that every single nook, cranny, corner, far back right, front left, back left, front right, top front right, back front, top front right, back right. Top back right. We always want to go every single corner that we possibly can. And we want to fill this box with heat. So the whole thing is the temperature that you've set for your cooking. 350, 400, whatever it is, right? So how do we get every single nook and cranny filled in here? Well, one thing is that you put your oven on preheat, don't you? So you set it for 350 and you walk away, and eventually a light pops up. And that light is meant to tell you that all those corners, front right, back right, everything is 350 degrees. However, the thing is about a box of heat, depending on where your heat element is, and I'm going to start with the basic because most of us have a heat element in the bottom. And certainly my old wonky electric does. It's just a $12 coil that plugs into the bottom and heats. A heat element in the bottom of this box is taking advantage of both trajectories of thermal heat. One is taking advantage of the fact that heat always rises. It always moves up. That's just where it's going to go. If we did nothing else, turned on a box with heat in the bottom, it will go up, right? But because of its nature that it wants to also warm anything and it's attracted to anything that's cool, let's say that the element allows all the heat to go up into the center, but these corners are staying cool. Eventually, this energy will drift itself outward and get every exterior piece of this warm as well. But the thing about that is, it is sort of hit or miss as far as consistent temperature. We've set the coil for 350. We've allowed it to preheat, which means at least to where that temperature gauge is, which is in an oven that has heat at the bottom and rises to the top. The temperature gauge is usually located somewhere towards the top to say, okay, 350 degree heat has transferred up here. But what about that back right corner? What about that front left socket? And you guys know that your ovens have a tendency to not heat perfectly evenly because you rotate your cookies halfway through baking. Or you swap out the left and right tray halfway through. Some of us swap and rotate, right? That is because the energy that's moving around is in constant motion, and once it gets up to the top, then it has to drift out to the cooler parts. By the time it's done that, the top might have cooled a little bit again, but by the nature of heat, it'll rise back up and continue to go. Your ambient overall temperature for a 350-degree box is somewhere around 325 to 350 in any given corner at any given moment. Okay, so the science of it is such that I'm mildly confused by the new arrival all of a sudden of all of these ovens whose heat element is at the top. And you may be someone who has that oven. So whether it's electric or gas, the heat element being on the very top. The thing is, because we've just learned from our 5th grade science book that this is energy, it's in motion, it's thermal energy, it's going to seek cooler spaces and try to get them the same temperature as itself. That's its job, that's its motivation. If the coil is at the top, it will ultimately force itself to what's cool, which is the bottom. And then as it transfers to the bottom, it will have warmed the sides and conceivably those front and back corners a bit. But the thing that's odd to me is the lack of efficiency in that, just in that we're working against heat's absolute nature, which is to rise, right? So it's forcing itself from this high stance up again, but because it's energy, once it's blocked from going anywhere, it'll find its way to transfer back down. But what a weird concept, isn't it? That's why heat's always been at the bottom, because it's going to rise anyway. We can take advantage of its nature and be much more efficient in preheating this box by letting it rise from the bottom as it naturally would and heat as it goes along. Then it starts its motion and starts moving back and forth and seeking out those cool spots to warm as well. So, heat in a box, a refresher on the science of heat is energy. It's always going to be in motion. It's always going to transfer to cooler substances or cooler areas until it gets that thing, whether it's a pan or your cookies or whatever's in the oven, to the temperature that the oven is as well. I will say this about science books. While that one is definitely a little simple version, I think it's all you really need to know to understand what's happening with your home oven and to consider if you have a heating element that's on the top, I'll bet your preheat time is a little bit longer than those of us who have a heating element that's on the bottom, because with our heat element on the bottom, again, we're taking advantage of heat's nature to rise anyway. With my heat element on the top, I'm going to lose some time in preheat as it fights its own nature to go upward and eventually starts doing its thermal thing of looking for cooler surfaces and moving its way downward. I will share with you that if you want to get into real science about cooking, you need to be reading a real scientist, and that is not me. My terminology for myself, as I said, is interpretive science. I think we could, I don't know if I'll go fake. That's a little intense, but interpretive. This book is really cool, you guys. The Food Lab, this guy is a scientist. And so I left the price tag on this because I bought it at Costco, $31.99. That seems like a pretty good price. But take a screenshot of that. Maybe I'll get savvy and actually put some show notes in for once in my life. But the Food Lab. So the thing about this chef is that he, if you read the prologue to this book, he actually is a scientist, biologist, biochemist, chemical engineer. He was a scientist, and he ultimately really wanted to be in the kitchen. And so he ended up taking his science knowledge and headed for the kitchens with it. He will do some breakdowns of science for you that are intense. And I know some of you have that scientific brain and you just eat it up. You absolutely love it. So if you do, this is the guy I would highly recommend. I think his book is wonderful. What I usually use him for personally is if I'm getting ready to be a little interpretive with my science, I tend to look things up with him to just make sure that I'm taking you down the right path, that I'm not getting like abstract interpretive, okay? We're still within a realm of reality here. So think about that with your oven. And my next podcast, we're going to talk about some things we can think about in our own home oven, some little tricks we can try to get a concept of how efficient it truly is, and if we need to make any tweaks or changes for our own home cooking, okay? So listen, if you're a Gumroad subscriber, I just want to say thank you so much. And your June podcasts are right now happening live. Your July ones are coming up in about a week too, so those will be right on the tail of this one. We've got great recipes for you if you're a Gumroad subscriber. If you'd like the recipes to any of these podcasts, you can just go to Gumroad and buy the current pod. They tend to be 3 to 4 videos and then a collection of recipes to go with it. I think it's $4.99. If you are new to my YouTube channel, welcome. Give us a like, do subscribe, share us with friends, make a comment below. Let me know if you picked up a tip today, and I hope you'll join us in our next video where we talk about understanding our own home ovens. I'm also going to just do a little touch on altitude in that as well. All right, guys, I hope you're having a delicious day. Thanks for joining me on Q&A with Chef A as we talk about heat and thermal energy. Great stuff. Have a delicious day.